Welcome to another episode of The Local Dive. This is Alex Scott, joined by Ashlyn Portero, producer Jacob Baldry.
Hello.
And no Dean and Sarah today, but his chair is not empty.
Who is it?
Oh, it sounds like Dean.
Oh, wait.
It really sounds
But
like
someone
Dean.
who's...
Oh, Zach Meredith.
Oh!
Welcome
back.
Welcome back to
Hey.
The Local Dive.
Thank you. Before we start, I'm honestly very honored to be here. I'm a little bit surprised I'm here because after last time I was on, apparently I was, quote, Zach was a rough guest host last week. And, quote, thank God Jacob's back because it was an emergency after Zach's performance. So to all 5 of you listeners,
He came
I
with
apologize for the
quotes.
next hour.
He
Hey,
came with
Shout out Pat
quotes.
Scott. I'm just kidding though. 12, but I'm totally playing. I'm gonna get HR after this. And you guys are my bosses. So.
Note to self that like anything that is said when Zach is around goes on the record.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's on the record. And Alex Scott said Dean gave me a complex, and maybe you're right.
I think he did.
Hey, producer Jake, Miami Vice over there, don't take that out.
Oh, all that staying.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Coming in hot.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't even know where to go after that.
I just blew it
but
up.
yeah.
I think the like spritz from those seltzers is still
Oh my
still
gosh.
hitting me.
Yeah, we've got 3 cans on the table because, anything worth doing is worth overdoing.
Yes, if you can't do it right the first time, you're not gonna have time to do it right the second time. Something like that.
That was
Anyway,
like a Michael Scott quote.
Yeah.
All
the
right,
second
well,
time.
I'm gonna file that away.
now we're gonna dive into the episode. Now that we got that out of the way,
Yeah.
and
Been holding that in for about 7 months.
yeah,
so.
we can tell.
as we wade into the shallow end, in just a minute, we're going to talk about all things Lent, and then instead of a deep dive, we are doing in honor of our guest Zach. We're going to do something different. Instead of a deep dive, we're going to have mini segments.
Right. I can't go deep.
That we're calling skinny dips. So,
That's proof that I can't go deep right
yeah.
there.
And then, as always, we'll close with the local on tap. So, all right. Yesterday, for a lot of people in the Christian faith, was Ash Wednesday. For us, since we're Baptists, it was Wednesday.
Right.
But Ash Wednesday is the start of the Lenten season. 40 days leading up to Easter, where generally speaking, at least I think the purpose of it is to remember Christ's suffering and death and all the things that led up to his crucifixion and resurrection. And oftentimes it's associated with giving up something or some things.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about this last night at City Group, and somebody said that they were talking to somebody who gave up 11 things for Lent, which I was like, wow, that's
why
pretty,
11?
I'm not sure. You're just apparently their justification was you're allowed to give up as many as you want.
Okay.
11.
Wow,
I don't think I have 11 things to give up.
That
But
person's-
this was like a 10-year-old too, so I don't, I mean.
oh,
like,
wait. There's a 10-year-old in your city group?
No, but somebody else
As the city group's director, we can talk after.
somebody in our city group had talked to a 10-year-old who had given up 11 things.
Oh,
He went to
okay.
our students
I was
ministry
like,
last
wow,
night.
you guguys really truly are like multi-generational. in your
Yeah,
city
in Acts
group.
2 church. In Acts 2 church.
So, in honor of giving things up, which I think is somehow supposed to represent Christ's sacrifice. I'm not really sure, but
Yeah, I think it's also like you said. It's like we participate. I don't know. I have only ever done Lent one time, and it was truly because I just wanted to see what I was missing out on. So I'm not a very good source of it. But yeah, like I feel like it's time to fast from something to direct your mind to the sufferings of Christ on your behalf and those things. I think.
yeah. So since we don't do that, I mean we do, but not in
But not in that formal way.
Not in a 40-day period kind of way. If you were going to give up something for Lent, what would you give up? Or what do you feel you should give up?
Well, I already gave up. I already joined Alex, who
Yeah,
set the path before us, and I gave up Diet Coke.
Diet Coke.
Yeah.
So it's like my whole
I'm
life.
holding on to that one.
My whole life now is a Lenten season without it. But I think if I was going to do it, I would give up social media. And I actually think that genuinely, because I know you could say, wow, like the only thing you're like, Jesus died on the cross for you and you're going to give up, but we're not trying to like earn, we're not trying to earn merit. We're just trying to, open up space in our life for, for reflection and things like that, and go without something that distracts us. And so that to me is the perfect thing for me, because I feel like every week my phone is telling me that my screen time went up a few more percent, and
that Sunday notification.
Yeah, it's brutal. So yeah.
Would you get all of them or one of them, or?
I think all of them. I think I'd just go cold turkey, just cut them all off. Yeah. So what about you guys?
My first thought was TV, but it's college basketball season right now, and it's like
You're not
the best time of the year.
Zach's like, I'm not going to sacrifice it that much.
Yeah. Jesus gave it all up for me on the cross, so I'm not giving that up. This is very shallow, but one
You're in the shallow.
Yeah, I am.
You're in the shallow.
But one thing I do when I'm trying to sleep is like watch a TV show or a movie, and I look over and my wife is reading, and so maybe it would be to not watch that stuff while trying to sleep and read.
There you go. That's a good one.
Yeah, that is good. So
Even though I'm not giving up something, I'm giving it up, but I'm adding something too.
You would give up TV.
I think that's the point.
In the nighttime wind down process.
Yes, and I'd read.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Jacob, are you giving up protein shakes?
Never.
Definitely not.
Not with that gold chain. Come on.
No, I think I would give up, or I would try to give up like fast food, because like I can really easily like get into like a lazy season in the semester and just like eat fast food every single day instead of like packing a lunch. So that'd be mine.
Yeah, eating out that would be a good one for me.
Yeah. I came up with the question. I don't know what I'd give up.
Your life is already perfectly prioritized.
No. I was gonna say my wife would tell me would say I should give up my phone, probably, like just in general, like all things that it's like whether I'm reading or on social media or whatever. That would probably be up there. So social media would be a good one. And then I don't know. I would Diet Coke would be the obvious choice. Actually, it's Chick-fil-A. That would be a real sacrifice for me, because those freaking tasty fillets of breaded chicken are delicious. That was weird. I'm sorry.
I'm sitting here going, I gotta go. Sorry.
You can delete that.
I'm out of here. No, keep it in. Producer Jake, keep it in.
That's good.
I'd give up bad answers on the podcast. All right. Anything else before we dive into the skinny dips? No laugh this time, Zach.
No, I'm
You've matured.
maturing.
Matured.
I'm
All
reading Maturity by Sinclair Ferguson, so I'm trying to,
trying to live it out.
Yeah, trying to live it out.
There
Cool.
you go.
All right.
It's not working though, but I'm trying.
All right. So the first one, in honor of Zach. Zach is our city groups director.
Heyo.
What are the yeses and nos of city groups? And that's like being a member. Like, what are the things that you should do and you should not do? So what do we got? Yeses and nos of city group.
First, yes. This is directed to a city group leader. Is
like a specific one, or just like?
No, if I was talking to a city group leader,
Okay.
like this is the
I
biggest
was
yes.
like, wow, we're doing it.
This is the biggest yes. Yeah. I'm dropping names.
Okay.
I started off hot. I'm going. No, it would be a lot of times when we start new city groups, we get like, all right, can you put people in our group? And the biggest yes for a city group leader is you're your best recruiter. And so think about people that you know that aren't plugged into a city group and invite, because it's coming from you probably have a relationship with them. That's going to be a big yes.
Yeah.
And so that's my yes for city groups is like recruit your own people.
That's a good one.
Do you have any yeses or nos?
I am a past city group leader. I mean, this is a simple one, but I would say consistency, and even going along with, usually in a city group, there are those people who are pretty connected. And I feel like sometimes it can be easy to think, oh, like I'm connected, so if I miss a week, it's not a big deal. I mean, I've totally been guilty of that before too. But seeing how it helps really reinforce for the people who aren't as connected to see those same people there every week. You know what I mean? So I think just consistency is a huge yes for if you're a city group member who, even if you feel like, okay, I've got my group of friends, or not that we should ever be like, no new friends, whatever. But if you feel connected to the church and you feel like you know what's going on, to still make it a priority to be really consistent, because you obviously want to be around those people in your group, but it also communicates something, I think, to your group members that it's an important time and you're always there. So
a no of city group, like as a participant, I think is like, don't be the oversharer and like always talker.
Preach.
Because that's difficult on the leader, and like you might love to hear yourself speak that much, but like probably the group doesn't.
Yeah.
I'm just a hunch. And yeah, so
I got
that'd
two
be a
no's.
no. What
I got
what
two
are,
no's.
Yeah,
One for a city group leader, one for a city group member. Member, it's really easy to vent and be just a Debbie Downer all the time.
Yeah.
Because that is like your people.
Yeah.
And that's exhausting. And it's never enough, to be honest. Like, you can get as much care, as much prayer, and city group leaders, city group members are going to try to, help you build you up. But after a while, it's just like, oh my gosh, like share something good every once in a while. And then for a group leader, back to your point, a no is, it's not like you're not a teacher. Somebody asked me, like, how would you, how do you rate a win in a city group? Like, you're walking away from it being like, that was a great city group. My number one answer is like Klay Thompson, who's a basketball player, and he scored like 45 points and 11 dribbles one time, which means like offensively he was very efficient. And that's your role as a city group leader, is you're facilitating, right? And you're not sitting there dribbling and then shooting at the last second, but you are, passing the ball to other people. That's a great comment. Okay, you have something else? You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not taking the dribbles. You're scoring 45 points and 11 dribbles. Because that's your role.
Yeah.
That's good.
Nice.
Thanks.
Do you have any no's, Ashlyn?
This is just a preference, but it is very difficult for me to have like a group that doesn't meet like in someone's home or in like a place where it's going to be quiet, like meeting at a restaurant or like something like that. It just is never, I feel like it's never as purposeful, and like, for me it's like more distracting. So I can be a little like picky about like where, which hosting is like a big thing. You're opening up your home. And I actually have led women's book clubs. I'm going to ask you in a minute why you're laughing over there.
I got a funny story.
Okay.
Regarding this.
I've hosted women's book clubs in, like Panera or something like that. And it, and that is a smaller group and it tends to work well, especially if you meet early in the morning or something. But I feel like, I don't know, that's not a very exciting one, but it is like, just be intentional about where you're meeting.
One time I had a Bible study at Salty Dog.
Okay, well,
it stunk.
On the day we're recording this, I need to say that Courtney Webb, our director of ministries, and I went to lunch there today.
Whoa! I kind of feel robbed.
That was my first Salty Dog experience.
Really?
Yeah.
How was
awesome.
It was delicious.
The wings are great.
They're so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got lemon pepper.
Do you smell like fried food right now?
Not really.
Oh. I was smelling like fried food and cigarets.
I was going to say, maybe a little bit like cigarettes.
Yeah.
It was just my lunch break, guys. Don't worry about it.
A couple of heaters and a couple of heaters and 10 wings.
I feel a little subconscious that Alex is over here with like a Newt's cup, and I'm like, I just spent my lunch hour at like a dive bar pool hall, but it was
Salty
delicious.
Dog is delicious.
I don't regret it.
No,
I don't regret it.
The pork tenderloin sandwich is the move there in the future. Just
the wings are
for anybody interested.
They're great.
All right. Any other yeses or nos of City Group?
I love the consistency. That's a great yes.
Yeah.
As both a leader and a tender.
Yeah, we got problems if the leader's not consistent.
You'd be surprised.
I feel like these are pretty tame. I'm like,
Yeah,
but I
they
can't
are.
think of any. I can't think of any like outrageous. I don't really have any like crazy stories from City Group. So.
No. Yeah, it's usually
at
like
least that I'm willing to share on the podcast.
We led a city group together one time.
Yes, we did. It was interesting.
That was interesting. I'll never forget the one guy. I don't even know his
Maybe
name.
the Lord used it.
He would sit in the lazy boy recliner and like take his shoes off and just recline all the way back and just be chilling like he was watching a football game.
It's so true.
And we'd be like, "What do you think about limited atonement?" And he'd be like,
"Huh?" Was it his recliner?
No.
So maybe
that makes it even better. Yeah.
No, it wasn't his house.
I mean, make yourself at home pretty literally there, but like, Yeah.
But he did. He made himself at home.
Although, I don't know how to sit in a lazy boy without it being out.
Yeah, there's really no way.
Maybe that's the right move. All right. Moving on. Topic number 2. Ashlyn, you're moving to London.
I am. In like
soon.
10 days.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's really, really soon.
I know.
So
excuse me while I just go back to the salty dog and eat my fillings and wings.
Hey, who's taking over your spot in the local dive?
Well, I've been told that we're going international.
yeah, it's going to be an international podcast.
Okay.
But,
Sorry, Zach.
That's okay.
But you can still fill in. Don't worry.
I was told that I was going to be on once a month.
By who?
Dean.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Sounds like something you guys need to
I was on
reconcile.
last May.
But who's counting?
I know.
All right.
I'll see y'all next week.
So
Right here.
Ashlyn's moving to London. What's the current status?
Okay, current status. Have my visa, have my flight booked, have pretty much all the logistics, still working out a place to live. I'm very much active in that today, even as we speak. So things are rolling.
So we need to pray for a flat.
Yes,
That's
pray for a flat.
That's an apartment in
Okay.
London.
Is it like a townhome? Is it like a townhome?
Yeah, kind of more like an apartment though, because it might not be 2 stories. It would just be
Flat.
one.
It's a flat. Sorry, it's a flat.
Yeah, it's a flat. And yeah, other than that, I'm just purging my house. I've had some great garage sales, done
Nice.
some haggling in the last week or so, getting rid of things, and yeah, just trying to see people. I literally my lunches and dinners are scheduled out, so that's fun. I'm just gonna land in London probably with high cholesterol, but that's it's part of saying goodbye.
Yeah. It's a very American way to
It
leave
is.
the country.
It is.
All right. So on that topic, I mean, this is maybe a little more shallow than any kind of deep thing, but Zach, what are some stereotypes that you have of people in London? And then Ashlyn, you can dispel them.
Okay. So we went over to Paris, London, Dublin a couple years ago, summertime. We were told, Paris, French people are so mean to Americans. There's this complex. We bailed them out of a couple wars or whatever. Right. We go to Paris. They're the nicest people.
Really?
Oh my! It was like Southern hospitality.
Huh.
We go in, they'd start speaking in French, to a restaurant. We'd sit there, and Jamie would be like, I almost said no hablo inglés, whatever the French version of that is, and they'd be like, oh, no problem, and they would sit there and they'd read the entire menu to us in English.
Wow.
It's unbelievable.
That's incredibly accommodating.
And-
You guys
and-
got lucky.
And I told the guy I had one of the best meals of my life at a French bistro or whatever, and I said that was so good I could hug the chef. And he went and got the chef. And the guy came out and he was just like this. And I got up and I gave him a hug. And Jamie was, it was the coolest thing in the world.
That's
I gave him a
awesome.
hug.
That's a superpower you have.
And he didn't speak any English. And I just flashed the 10 out of 10. And he did the little oh, thank you. It was awesome. It was awesome.
Nice.
So
It's a great story.
And then we heard that people in London were the nicest people in the world. And my first interaction, I got told to F off.
Oh.
Because I was standing on a sidewalk and a guy bumped into me and I looked at him and he said, F off.
Yeah.
Get out of the walkway. What is this, a standway? And every single person in this room just put their hand on their forehead. And so
Were you standing in his way?
yeah, for sure. It was the tube. It was the doors to go outside.
Oh,
I was standing there
yeah.
looking at a map, being like, "Where am I going?"
So he wasn't mean. You were just in the way.
Perspective is everything,
Sounds
yeah.
mean. I will
all right.
say, in those instances, it is. I feel like it's very much like in New York or something. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
move over, get out of the way,
Right.
or you are
It's
going
a
to get
rat
run
race.
over. Yeah, it's a rat race.
So do you have any other stereotypes of British people in
Their
London?
food stinks. No offense.
Okay, Ashlyn, dispel.
Okay. I think it's interesting because I feel like the UK doesn't have as many exotic dishes. If you were to go to a certain country and you're like, oh, you have to have this specific thing. They're like beans, fish and chips.
Right.
English breakfast, Sunday roast.
It's all the same. It's all the same color.
Yes.
Kind of bland.
Yeah, more bland. But I would counter that in London because London is a global city. You have access to so many different types of cuisines and
Agreed.
And I feel like, I mean, if you like meat and potatoes, like you can't go wrong with a good Sunday roast. So that is, but I can understand, if you need a little more variety, you can't like live on that all the time, or like your heart would just stop. But but I don't know, like the British bakeries are delicious.
Here's something that shocked me about Ireland.
Okay.
Go to Dublin. You're an island in the Atlantic Ocean. You're an island surrounded by aquatic life.
So you were an island boy?
It is Thursday. I'm an island. Yeah, okay.
Wow,
and you're known for potatoes.
As opposed to what? Seafood?
Yeah. You're an island in the Atlantic Ocean, and you're known for potatoes.
What is actually living in like the North Sea? Well, no, that'd be on the other. So I guess the Atlantic.
Yeah.
The North Sea would be on the east coast of England.
It's like potatoes and like bangers and mash, like potatoes and sausage. It's like Wakulla.
Well, it's like
but you're an island. Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I was just shocked by that. I was like looking at the menus and being like, where's the seafood? Yeah. You're
like, look, you can see the coast, but there's no fish on the menu.
Yeah. You're like looking at the ocean and you're like, you're known for potatoes and a famine. Like, come on, guys, get your game up.
Different strokes for different folks.
Yeah, I guess. I'm sorry. I'm part Irish, I think, so I can say that.
All right.
At least one day a year.
Moving on.
It's coming up. Your day's coming up. Yeah. We're in March.
All right. This will get a little more serious, hopefully. Zach, as a member of the discipleship team, you guys just put out a Bible reading plan for the church.
Yep.
That is...
Shout out Noah.
Yeah, Noah, who's one of our ministry residents, wrote the Bible reading plan. It's been a great 5 days so far. It started on Sunday. And so what is it like? Give us the quick skinny on the...
Yeah. It's a reading plan. So what's really cool about it is we went through the Bible in a year last year, right? Genesis to Revelation, January to December, right?
Right.
And what Noah did, which was really cool, is this reading is from now until like the week after Easter. Mm-hmm. And essentially it is the Bible in that time, just from like a 10,000 foot view. So right now it's like creation. It's in Genesis, creation and God's covenants and God's promises in the Old Testament. And then it'll go more towards seeing God sustain his people, like in like the historical text of the Kings, Samuel, Chronicles, all that stuff. And then go into the New Testament of Jesus' ministry, and then post Jesus' ministry, the Pauline epistles, and then end in Revelation. So It's really cool because it's like instead of this grind all the way through every verse, it's like we've done that. That's awesome. Now let's go back 10,000 foot view and pinpoint some of like the really cool promises of God that we see.
That's great.
Yeah.
How have you started?
Yeah.
How's it going?
I set myself up for this. It's going well. I'm like 2 days behind.
5 days in, no big deal. You got time to catch up.
Hey, that's Hall of Fame shooting percentage, though.
It is.
So, quick question, and I may have just missed this when you were describing it. Is this going until the end of the calendar year, or it's going to go until next March?
Till Easter.
No, till Easter.
Till the week
after
Easter.
Oh, okay. Got
so
it.
it's like a
I'm like out of
week
loop on things now.
6 week reading plan.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Here's one thing. I've read this like 100 times, and I've never like actually thought about the implications of it. Adam was given the job of naming all the animals. Mm-hmm. Can you just imagine like sitting there looking at something and being like, it's pointy porcupine. That sounds good. But this is sloth.
See,
there you
I
go.
would like to bring someone on this podcast who knows like what language, like, you know what I mean? It's We're just going off of translations of what the original name was. And so then to think about Adam like already had the command of a language to be able to express some type of sound or word. Anyways, I could nerd out on that for a little while, but I won't.
Anything else from the Bible reading plan that is worth saying other than if you haven't started, we think it'd be great. Is it on the website?
It is on the website. Yeah. We also have handouts like
Sundays.
3 weeks at a time.
Yeah.
So the first 3 weeks we have the first 3 weeks posted.
Yep.
And then,
Yeah. Sweet. All right. Next, talking about leading volunteer teams. This is obviously something you do quite a bit, Zach, with city groups and then previously in your student ministry days. We'll go around the table. What are 2 things that you would say to a leader who is either building or trying to build a volunteer team and culture, what would be some advice that you would give them?
You want me to start?
Sure, go for it.
Okay, number one is never underestimate how important it is to pour into your volunteers. Especially in youth ministry, I found out to be that to be true, because those are the people that we're trusting in like one-on-one capacities for like members of the church. Like they're volunteering on a team that is going to pour into, members that aren't on the team. So like for student ministry, it's like, hey, well, first of all, volunteers in student ministry is like, you have to be so careful because those are the people that are discipling your students like by themselves, essentially. But also, I found that oftentimes I would neglect the care of the volunteers under my supervision, and like that, trying to lead like that is just not healthy, and it doesn't do your volunteers justice, because, as the volunteer person over a volunteer team, like those are your people. So that's what I would say. If I could give myself advice like 5 years ago, it's don't take for granted your volunteers and just assume that they're doing well all the time, because that's not the case.
Yeah.
And then the second one is always recruit. Like, I think this is just a leadership principle in general, like recruit your replacement, right? Always be recruiting, and don't college football coach say that, but like always be recruiting the next wave. Because especially Tallahassee, it's so cyclical, like people's lives. And there's so many college students that are awesome at serving here at City Church. But the sad reality is a lot of them have like a Tallahassee shelf life that they're going to be gone when they graduate. And so just because a ministry season is great right now with your volunteer culture, like Tom Hanks is famous, like in that thing where he's like, this too shall pass, good time, this too shall pass, bad time, this too shall pass. Like, ministry ebbs and flows of healthy volunteer teams. Like we fall back on the systems that we create. And part of that is just recruiting volunteer teams. So like, I guess never take for granted, like, hey, this is going really well right now. I have a solid volunteer team. I'm just going to sit back and let it go. Yeah. Because it can like switch like that. Yeah. But continuously be, trying to get people involved in serving in the church and volunteering. That's like healthy anyway, but.
Which I think is such a good point about how leading volunteers is, especially certainly in the church, and this is true of any leadership in the church, but there's such a shepherding role to it. Like there's such a care role because, I think about, all of us who we, work full time in vocational ministry, and even we need to be guided and need to be, you don't always just default to being, proactive or what, it's like you need kind of constant coaching, and it takes a lot of motivation to like keep yourself moving forward and like really all in committed to the ministry. And so I think that just goes to show even more when you're leading volunteers who are giving their time and giving their lives to this. And the Lord has also called them to something else to occupy a lot of their time, whether it's family or job or both of those things, or other things. And so, yeah, I think that's just a really good point, that it's easy to think about, especially in a kind of secular sense, like you're just managing people in the sense of like making sure they know what to do. And that is a huge piece of it. Right. But even in that, sometimes care for volunteers looks like, meeting with them, praying for them, listening to them, but it also is caring to lead them and guide them well and actually help them feel like they are moving forward in something, which is cool. So,
yeah. Do you have any other advice that you would give?
Oh man. I feel like, Alex, you say this a lot, and I think it's true, like that clear is kind. And so I think when you're trying to manage a lot of different people, and I can even speak from experience of being a volunteer in other settings, 0.05% maybe of your week. Like I'm thinking about when I used to be in junior league, you come to one meeting a week for an hour, and you have a whole however many other hours are in a week devoted to other things, and then you're there for that one little bit. And so just having to remember that you've got to be really clear and really intentional with people, because in the way that this piece of ministry is something that occupies a ton of your mind space and time, it's less for them. And it's not because they don't care about it. We have volunteers who are basically doing jobs, what could be a job. but in some capacity. But yeah, so all that to say, I think just being really clear, really respectful of their time and their commitment, and not just saying, okay, you guys show up and figure it out, but like, here's what we like. I think it's Max Dupree has like a really great leadership quote that says, the first job as a leader is to define reality. The last job is to say thank you. And in the middle, a leader is a servant. And so that to me just encompasses like how you lead volunteers well.
Can I piggyback on that real quick? Clear is kind. I also think it's a lot of times we set unrealistic expectations for our volunteers.
Yeah.
Because like our job, like a lot of our job is like, okay, how can we improve this? How can we do this?
Yeah.
And we expect our volunteers to do too much. And I'm not saying like dumb it down. Like, you know, we want them to serve and a lot of our people want to serve, but like sometimes we create unrealistic expectations, like asks. And then when they don't get met because they're unrealistic, not only do we get frustrated as the volunteer leaders, but then the volunteers get frustrated because they don't think they're doing a good job.
Yeah.
When a lot of times it's just unrealistic.
And a lot of times we can underestimate what can actually be done by a seemingly smaller contribution, you know, by actually lowering the bar a little bit or lowering the expectation a little bit. Like when you give volunteer space to do things the way that like they sort of think they should do them, or not in like a preference way, but you know what I mean? When you give them the freedom, but also set those like smaller benchmarks, actually like a lot can get done, which is really cool.
Yeah, I was going to piggyback. I mean, y'all have kind of both said things that I was going to say. My two things would be, like, to your point, Ashley, that quote where it's like, be a servant in the middle, is as you're building a volunteer team, like, yes, part of your job is to delegate tasks and to put them in a spot to win, or to accomplish whatever the task is that they've been given to do, whether that's teach kids or lead a small group or lead a discussion guide or sing a song. Like our job is to put them in a place to succeed, but they also need to know that like we aren't beneath any of those things. And so like sometimes that means like, yeah, you could have a whole team of people to move chairs, but sometimes that means you grab the dolly and you help move some chairs, or like they know that you are kind of willing to do the task that you're asking them to do, even if like it's not like eventually there's a point where like you shouldn't be doing that as a leader. That's true of any leadership, like kind of principle and like as you empower others to lead, you should be giving things away, but they also need to see that like nothing is beneath you. So you're not asking them to do something that you wouldn't do yourself. And then, that volunteer care piece, I just think it's like, you have to know your people, and you have to be able to you have to know what you expect of your people so that they know what's expected of them and how to succeed. But you also have to know like what they're capable of, because one person you might need to just say, hey, I don't actually need you to do 8 things. I need to just do this one thing really well. And then you have somebody else who has the capacity in life, not maybe like in skills, but just they have more free time or whatever, and they can do a lot more. And knowing those two people and where they're at allows you to lead them differently. So those would be my thoughts.
That the whole thing of like your volunteers know that you're never going to ask them something that you wouldn't do. That is like, when they get that, they will go to war for your ministry.
You actually never have to move chairs again, in a sense.
They will go, and that is like, I mean, talk about building a volunteer culture. Holy cow.
Yeah. All right. Producer Jacob's going to get married in 42 days. What's the countdown?
It's like 73.
Oh, 73. Okay.
Alex was trying to move that timeline.
Yeah, he's like, come on.
It felt closer. Sorry, Jacob. All right, 73 days. What advice do we have for our trusty producer, our brother in Christ, Jacob Baldry? Who's going first?
Marriage advice?
Yeah, marriage advice.
Wow.
Over communicate. Something I'm really bad at is over communicating, and my wife is very type A and I'm very type B, and so things that I don't think is important to share to her, it's very important that she knows what's going on. Like, okay, she got peeved one time, and I was at fault for this when it was something like a church event that I had talked about, like, obviously, like, we're in meetings all the time. I had told my volunteers about, hey, we want you to come to this. It was when we did the next gen thank you dinner a couple years ago.
Okay.
And I guess I hadn't communicated to Jamie that it's going on, because a volunteer came up to her and was like, hey, what are you wearing for the next gen dinner? And she's like, what are you talking about? And she felt like stupid. And she's like, hey, can you you need to over communicate things. And so that's something that I struggle with, and that I continue to try to do is like, just communicate.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, that happens regularly. Melissa's like, I didn't know that. And I'm like, oops.
Yeah, sorry.
So I need to get all of you guys memo boards for parting gift. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
What is it?
Pretty much a memo board. So
Oh,
Like,
I thought you said a
like-
Momo board. I was like, what?
That's a British thing. You wouldn't
I
understand.
know. Yeah, we didn't win a war, so we could still call it a flat. We call it apartments. 2 wars.
Okay.
1812.
Ashlyn, do you have any advice for Jacob?
I actually do. This comes from talking to my married friends and listening to them. I'm not married, but I'm going to offer it anyways. One of the things that I've had several people express, like, and observe, that when, they got married, it was sort of like, yes, of course you want to, like, spend time with your spouse, but I've had several friends who were like, I wish that we had not withdrawn so much and, like, really stayed. There's some people who it's like you can get married and sort of fall off the radar. And it's interesting because as a single person listening to some of my married friends talk about that and saying, we feel like we sort of went through a major life change. And then maybe even if you have kids early or whatever, I'm not trying to put pressure on you, Jacob and Emma, I'm just saying that could be true for other people. Then all of a sudden it was sort of like, we feel like we don't have, like, our friends and our friend group, like, we feel kind of isolated. Mm-hmm. So that's something that I do hear some of my married friends say, is like, we wish that rather than withdrawing so much and just kind of only spending our time together, like, to maintain good friend groups and to not, which I imagine in your 20s is hard too, when a lot of your friends might not be married and you're sort of living in, like, you're all the same age, but potentially different relationship statuses and stages of life in that sense. So I don't know, secondhand, that's maybe what I would offer.
A lot of people get weird when they get married.
My advice was literally going to be, don't get weird when you get married.
Yeah.
Like
they get weird when they get married, that now all of a sudden they can only hang out with married couples.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just like, I don't know what, like,
yeah.
Okay, come on.
But I will also say, I actually one time had a friend say to me that once she was married and I think had a child, she was, like, worried about, it was almost on the flip side of, she felt a little weird reaching out to, usually you hear someone who's single say, married people don't want to hang out with single people because you don't have the same things in common. Well, she actually expressed that. She was like, my life is so different that, like, I feel like I can't relate and it's hard for me to make connections with my single friends. But she wasn't putting it on the single person. She was putting it on herself. And so it was just an interesting, that opened my eyes to say, okay, basically at the end of the day, we all need to be friends and, like, be in each other's lives.
Just don't be weird.
Don't be weird.
Jacob,
Yeah,
don't be weird.
All right.
Which I feel like you guys are good at not being weird, so just keep being good at not being weird.
Yeah,
There you
just
go.
keep on
Jacob's
keeping
probably the least weird person in this room right now.
Over communicate. Don't be weird.
Yeah.
And don't withdraw. I take offense to that statement, but that probably makes me weird. So whatever. All right. Also, another big life change. Zach, who's tasting two of his 3 LaCroix.
That one's gross.
You're about to have a kid. Miles
Shiro Meredith.
on the way.
Let's
soon.
go.
Not literally on the way, but, like,
Hopefully not.
But
Yeah.
speaking of countdown, what are we like?
April 12th. I'm bad at math, whatever that is.
Yeah, like 5 weeks or 6 weeks away.
Yeah, Jamie's 34 weeks and a half. 34 and a half weeks.
Oh, getting close.
All right. So
The class that we just had to do,
yeah.
the lady was like, pack a bag at 35 weeks. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, do you need to practice your breathing techniques with us?
No, we did have a scare. Jamie did think she was having contractions the other day.
Uh-oh.
And I about jumped. You ever seen those videos where, like, guys prank each other and they put, like, an airbag under the seat and they sit down and it blows them, like, to the when she was like, what do contractions feel like? I was like, it's like Kramer walking into a room.
So maybe round up 34 and a half. That's
You,
pretty
like,
close
leave
to 35.
and she's, like, still in the house.
Okay.
You're, like, driving to the hospital.
I know.
My wife's having a baby.
Yeah.
And then he looks over and she's
It's
not
like,
there.
You brought Millie, not your wife. Like,
Yeah, Millie is their dog.
Yeah, that's her
for
German
anybody
Shepherd. Oh my gosh.
who doesn't know. All right, so 34 and a half weeks. So Miles is coming soon.
Yep.
And we thought we would also use this opportunity to give you advice as
Yeah, I
you
need
become
some.
a new dad. So
Jacob, any advice for me? No, I'm just kidding.
I can think of some things.
Oh,
right.
true.
So, all right, I have one because
Okay.
I also had a boy, and this is something that I wish somebody would have told me because we had to learn the hard way. But all right, it'll all make sense. But when you change his diapers early on, point it down. Because here's what happened. This is really embarrassing, and like I don't know, probably like DCF's gonna get called on us or something. But like when Colin was probably like a week old, I picked him up from a nap or something, and he was like soaked, and it was winter time, so we had dressed him like a little warm, and I was like, man, he's like really sweaty. But it wasn't like in the area that you would think urine would be in. Okay. So it was like up by his arms. And I was like, how is he this wet? And so we thought he was like really hot. He was sweaty, whatever. So we had an appointment at the doctor that day. And she was like, yeah, sometimes kids can sweat, but like, that's a little weird, but like, just make sure he's not too hot at night. And so we were like, oh, okay. And then it happened again and again and again. And finally Melissa like Googled it, and it was like, point it down. It was like, oh,
He's peeing all over himself.
didn't know. So
Here, I have a question. Everyone's been like, you tell everyone, you tell, oh yeah, Miles is due soon. Oh, well, you gotta do that. Oh, you're not even ready for it. It's like, yeah, no duh. Okay. Everyone has been saying babies poop is like next level stink. And I was like, okay, yeah, I get it. Like, no, you don't understand. It's like, okay, yeah, I get it. No, you don't understand.
Yeah.
Is that true?
I'm probably the worst person to ask that because I got COVID right after Colin was born, and I lost my sense of smell.
That's God's blessing, man.
And I was actually like,
Divine
God's providence.
intervention.
I feel kind of highly favored right now. So, and before it happened, I didn't have a great sense of smell, and I still don't have a great sense of smell.
I would say from my history of babysitting, it holds up. I mean, I don't have a baby, but I have smelled lots of baby poop. And it's, especially in the age of like a lot of organic food, like.
Yeah, I do. We did have the
next
stomach
level.
bug rip through our house like a month ago,
Ooh.
and that was very unpleasant. Like I could smell that. So it's not great.
We were just hanging out with friends who have a 1-year-old, and they said the key is I didn't know babies could do this. You teach the baby sign languages, like language signs, and like they're like it like alleviates so much stuff. And so the kid was sitting there, and he was like slobbering all over himself. He started to cry, and he started like doing this more.
Yeah.
And they gave him a cracker, and he was happy.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, that's wild.
Yep.
He can't say mama, dada, but he can be like, yeah, I want more.
Yep.
And then like finish. He was
All
finished.
done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, you can teach them
Wow.
sign language. It's pretty cool.
Amazing.
So yeah, any other parental advice for Zach?
I don't think
Hey,
so. I
Jacob,
think we're pretty sparse.
can you
in
buy
this area.
can you buy him a gold chain?
Oh, can I actually?
Yeah, dude, he will rock
Do
that.
you think Jamie would be upset?
Marriage advice, that's something you just do it. You just go with it. Pick your battles, dude. She'll pick her battles. I'll pick my battles. That's not one she's going to pick. Let's do it.
If it's real gold, she'll be totally fine.
Yeah,
True,
don't
very
turn my
true.
kid's neck green with your fake gold.
God.
Let me check your neck right now, Jacob. Is that real gold?
All right. We've got to wrap this thing up because it's been off the rails the entire time.
I could do this all day.
But local
love
on
this.
tap. And hey, we're excited for Miles.
Thanks.
So can't wait to meet
We
him.
are.
All right, local on tap. Going back to Lent. If there was something that you would never want to give up in Tallahassee, could be a restaurant,
My friendship with producer Jake.
a park, a friendship,
I got you, bro.
whatever. What would you never want to give up in Tallahassee?
Well, this is unfair because I'm about to give everything up in Tallahassee.
Jimmy John's.
No,
Pretty sure they got Jimmy John's over in London.
that's not my number one.
Well played, Ashlyn. Well
what would I
played.
not want to give up in Tallahassee? Okay, I'm gonna only like a funny answer, not like serious things. Well, now I'm drawing a blank.
I got one.
Go.
Cool Beans, their steak dinner dish
Uh-huh.
over mashed potatoes with some onion rings on top.
Yeah.
Never give that up.
Okay,
Very
I have
good.
to tell. Do we have time for a tiny, quick, funny story?
Yeah.
Okay. I was at Cool Beans with Dean and Chrissy the other night, and Dean also got the flank steak, which it is good.
Is that the one with the gorgonzola butter?
Yeah, oh, dude, don't.
Yes,
oh my
but
gosh.
it's Dean, so he didn't
Well,
need the
I-
gorgonzola
yeah,
butter.
yeah.
I'm like, But now it comes with green beans and not onions or onion rings. And he was like, it's because if you're listening to this, Dean is infamous for like customizing his, even at a restaurant like Cool Beans, where it's like, it's a place that you don't make substitutions. He had the waitress come back and he was like, I just need to say that I always get the flank steak, but I ask for green beans and not onion rings. And I'm just saying that it's like this on the menu now. And she just kind of like laughed, but
He claims it's because of him.
He claims it's because of him. So you may not be able to get your onion rings anymore. I don't know. But shout out to Dean for doing what he does at restaurants.
Yeah, that's power. I would not give up food, glorious food, dessert.
Ooh, it's
Like,
so good.
Any of their dessert, it's the best.
I'm not a dessert guy, so I could give it up. That's what I give up for Lent. Dessert. Easy. Done.
It's Lent all year round for you. All right, Ashlyn, did you think about anything? Or do we need Jacob to go?
It's probably going to be food related, but
What if somebody built on the Greenway?
don't even say that. I was going to not say Greenway because I always talk about that. I could never give up the Greenways. Yeah. But
what's the
what
big
about you,
what's the
Jacob?
big park called in London?
there's several. Hyde Park? Is that
Hyde
what you're
Park.
thinking of?
Yes, Hyde Park. That was cool.
Yeah.
It looked just like Cascades,
It's an
but
iconic place.
yeah, I mean,
No,
a
it
pond's a
didn't.
pond, grass is grass.
I
You
love
know,
Cascades,
Yeah.
but no, it doesn't.
Grass is
grass is grass.
and a pond's a pond.
Yeah.
Deep thoughts from Zach Merritt.
Jacob, what would you not give up?
I'm gonna go also the food route and say Bella Bella because I really love Bella Bella.
Good
Great
call.
one, dude.
Good call.
Good one.
All right. Well, Zach, it was great to have you back.
It was so much fun to be on.
We'll see you in 7 months.
I
buddy.
know, and I can't wait to listen to next week's to hear my performance review.
Yeah. Well,
I could come over here and like spit the most awesome facts of all time, and it'd probably stink.
maybe your review might, but the content wouldn't. And we're grateful for you. It's been wonderful. Hope you've enjoyed it. We'll see you next week for another episode of The Local Dive.
Love you guys.
Thanks for listening to The Local Dive, a podcast diving into deep and shallow musings about Christ, the church, and culture. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review wherever you listen to podcasts. You can follow The Local Dive on social media and continue the conversation with us on Instagram and Twitter at The Local Dive Pod.